Every college player says they want to make it to the NBA. The truth is, most don't even understand what that means. This video isn't about dreams or motivation. It's about the actual work, habits, and traits NBA scouts evaluate. As a former NBA scout, I've sat in front office meetings, seen players' names on boards, and know exactly what gets you crossed off and what gets you drafted. What's going on, y'all? I'm Anthony Goods, the Stanford gentleman and former NBA scout. I appreciate y'all watching my channel. Please take a quick second to hit the like and subscribe button. If you're a player in college, high school, or overseas and you're trying to make the NBA, this video might help you out. So if you're serious, take out a pen and take notes, because these are things I wish I would have knew before I retired. Let's dive in. Outside of a few occasional picks, NBA teams don't draft expecting a profound impact. They draft role fits. Scouts and executives ask a couple simple questions. What kind of impact could he have today, and what kind of impact could he have 2 to 3 years from now? That being said, as a player trying to make it to the NBA, it's best for him to think along the lines of, what will he have to do once he gets there? Most players will have to give an exceptional effort defensively, take shots they can make efficiently, and decision make within the confines of the system. Those three things are the recipes for success. The type of shots, decisions, and defense you're asked to provide can differ depending on your position, roster construction, and system. Let me try to break it down in a more general sense, since there's going to be all different types of players out there. In the front office, we define 3 universal skills that serve as kind of like a baseline for evals. When I worked in the NBA, we identified 3 universal skills that pretty much every team is looking for: shooting, toughness, and IQ. You'll never hear a coach say, we have too much shooting, or we're too tough, or we're too smart. Those are universal traits that translate at every level. And if you don't have at least one of them, you better bring something elite to the table. Now, as somebody that's been a player and has also worked on the other side as a scout and a coach, I often think that there's a disconnect when communicating with players. We say things like, play hard and work hard, without quantifying what these things actually look like. So with these universal skills, let's find ways to quantify these so a goal can be met. Shooting is the easiest to quantify. 40% has been the benchmark for years. If you can get close to that number, any coach would love to have you on the floor. You need to turn work ethic into data. Let's say in season you play twice a week and you have one off day. Then you have 4 days a week where you can make 500 shots a day. That's 2,000 makes per week and 8,000 makes per month. And you'll know exactly how committed you are. Track your workouts, your makes, and your percentages if you have the ability to. So the reason I say 500 makes a day is I think that's a good number for an in-season workout. In my opinion, the difference between amateurs like college and high school players and professionals is usually volume when we're talking about shooting. I think amateur players just need more volume, so 500 makes a day can help you achieve that. And this should be basic level training and work ethic. There's obviously a lot more complexity you can add to this, but we're just going to start at the basic level and let's just try to get 500 makes a day. And for some context, I spoke with a college coach the other day, and one of his shooters, who happens to be one of the best shooters in the country, he said that his shooter shoots 800 to 1,000 shots a day outside of practice. So that alone lets you know it can be done, and it is being done. And even at Arkansas State, the other day I was rebounding for one of our players, and he got up 500 makes in 58 minutes. Obviously, we have rebounders and things of that nature, but even if you just have one rebounder and you don't have a passer, it should probably take you an hour and a half. So if you think about that, an hour and a half could be the only thing in the way of you becoming elite at something. Now, toughness and physicality is a little harder to quantify, but if we did a deep dive on possessions and film, we could find some markers. Toughness isn't about size or emotion. It's about consistency under contact. What was your box out percentage? How many opportunities for collisions did you bail out on or initiate, both offensively and defensively? Were you able to own your space? And when times get hard, did you have a fight back mentality? All of these stats we chart at Arkansas State, and some NBA teams have their own markers. These are the markers of who's built for the next level. Toughness shows up on film more than on the stat sheet. So when you watch your film, look for each of these opportunities throughout a game and get your percentage. Lastly, we could do similar things for IQ. IQ shows up in many different ways, but if you know what you're looking for, it's easy to spot it. How many opportunity cuts does a player make? When actions break down, or even within the flow of your offense, how do you create, manipulate, and maintain advantages? Basketball IQ is about recognition and anticipation. Most people talk about 0.5 reads with the ball, but 0.5 reads without the ball create just as many, if not more, opportunities. Decision speed matters more than decision correctness. At the NBA level, a good decision made too late is still a turnover. You can train IQ through film. Study patterns, understand triggers, practice recognition, and then you should get to the point where you'll be able to anticipate actions. The greatest players anticipate actions, which is why they're able to make plays quicker than others. Anticipation is just understanding plus reps plus application. The faster you can process, the more valuable you are. One of the most underrated traits in basketball is self-awareness. Know what makes you valuable, then double down on it. Every team needs stars, but majority of NBA players make a living by being elite at one thing. Look at Duncan Robinson, Bruce Brown, Herb Jones. They carved out roles leaning into what they do best. Don't chase versatility before mastering a skill. The more you know who you are as a player and the easiest ways for you to make an impact on winning, the easier it is for a coach to trust you. And the next thing I think is really important is conditioning and fatigue. At higher levels, everyone is skilled when they're fresh. The real separation happens when you're tired. I used to have a coach that said fatigue makes cowards of us all, but when you really look at it, fatigue reveals habits. Decision-making under fatigue is what NBA scouts look for in live scouting. How quickly do you get fatigued? Do you still make good rotations late in games? Do you still box out when you're exhausted? Pros don't just train their bodies, they train their decisions. That's why conditioning is more than just physical. It's mental endurance that protects your basketball IQ when you're gassed. And now for one of my favorite things to look out for is coachability and body language. Every front office tracks body language. Scouts literally record clips of how players react from being subbed out or coached too hard. That walk to the bench after you get subbed out for a turnover is something we lock in on. You don't have to agree with your coach, but you have to look like you do. Coachability is the easiest skill to display and the fastest one to lose trust over. When you're on the bench, are you locked in or checked out? Are you encouraging teammates or sulking? Do you celebrate your teammates' success on and off the court? Your body language is your resume before you ever touch a ball. Lastly, let's say you get to the NBA and you lack shooting, toughness, or IQ. And you look around and you're like, how did I get here? What's that called? It's called potential. You're not a finished product. No drafted player is. But if you lack these three skills and you make it to the NBA, a team likely sees some pathway for some parts of you to land in these three universal skill buckets. Or maybe you're there to fulfill some other archetype need. Teams love potential because it's hope disguised as development. This hope usually looks like positional size, athleticism, or some other physical attribute. Potential is a grace period that has an expiration date. You either turn it into production or you become another name scouts remember for what could have been. Every day you're either becoming a pro or proving you're still potential. And now it's time for the toughest part, which is accountability. You can't improve what you don't measure. If you say you want to be great, prove it with numbers. If your goal is 500 makes a day and you had 20 opportunities over the course of a month to do it, yet you only did it 14, that is a 70% effort rate. That's your real dedication grade. Track your consistency the same way you would track your GPA. Over time, your data will expose your discipline or lack thereof. This type of accountability separates dreamers from pros. So if you're a college player and you're trying to make it to the NBA, stop chasing the logo. Chase the habits that earn it. Quantify your skills, hold yourself accountable, study the game, and master your role. That's what not only gets you on draft boards, but keeps you there. But that's all I got. I appreciate y'all for tapping in, and I got some more heat coming y'all way. Catch y'all next time.